Now, it is no secret that things have been heating up in South African politics of late. John Steenhuisen, Democratic Alliance leader and also the Minister of Agriculture, has come out swinging at President Cyril Ramaphosa. But it does make you wonder where all this energy was stored before one of his own, being Andrew Whitfield, got the chop. Right now, tensions are running high in GNUVille, especially between the DA and the ANC, and it's starting to look a little messy. Could there be a deeper political game at play here? Let's unpack all of that in today's video.
Molweni and welcome to the Conversations with Nkosi YouTube channel. This is the news commentary section where I'll be offering insightful news commentary while exploring the different perspectives on the stories that shape our world.
Now, if you're not too familiar with the GNU and how we got here as a country, don't stress yourself out. I've linked a couple of videos that break it all down from its conception, to the mess that it's facing now. So, what's the latest? Well, President Ramaphosa recently gave Andrew Whitfield, the DA's Deputy Minister of Police, the boot, apparently over an unauthorized overseas trip. But that move hasn't gone down well. Steenhuisen has come out to call Ramaphosa out, saying that it's a double standard because there's still ANC ministers who've been accused of way worse, like state capture or lying to parliament, and they are still chilling in their positions. With that being said, guys, let's take a closer look at what's really going on, starting with these articles. The presidency has confirmed that President Cyril Ramaphosa has shown Democratic Alliance Deputy Minister of Trade, Andrew Whitfield, was a trade or police, either way, the door with immediate effect from his bloated cabinet. The presidency can confirm that in terms of Section 93(1) of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa has removed the Honorable Andrew Whitfield, MP, from the position of Deputy Minister for Trade, Industry and Competition. According to the official statement issued by President Ramaphosa, he has thanked the former Deputy Minister for the time he served in the role. However, the president has not indicated any intention to conduct a wholesale cabinet reshuffle. Earlier, Minister in the Presidency Khumbudzo Ntshavheni dodged confirming whether Ramaphosa is planning a cabinet reshuffle. This follows reports that Andrew Whitfield, the Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, is among those who have already received a letter from the president thanking them for their service, effectively ending their tenure in the executive. The reported reshuffle is believed to have been triggered by controversy involving Higher Education and Training Minister Nobuhle Nkabane, who has come under fire over the contentious appointment of chairs to Sector Education and Training Authority SETA boards. The scandal follows public backlash in May after Nkabane recommended several politically connected individuals to SETA boards. Among the appointees were Buyambo Mantashe, son of Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe, former KZN Premier Dr. Nomusa Dube-Ncube, KwaZulu-Natal Transport Head Siboniso Mbele, and ANC Johannesburg Deputy Regional Secretary Loyiso Masuku. Nkabane's initial refusal to identify who selected the board members raised additional concerns over transparency and political patronage. Pressure has been mounting in recent weeks, with political parties calling for Ramaphosa to dismiss Nkabane. Speaking during a media briefing on Wednesday in Cape Town following a cabinet meeting held June 25, Ntshavheni refused to confirm or deny the reshuffle. However, her remarks and body language suggested something else. Let me start with the easy one. There's a saying that the turkey has no say on Christmas. meaning that I am a minister. If the service is full, I am equally affected, she said. I will know whether there is a reshuffle or not until I am called to say you are being reshuffled. Ntshavheni explained that under the Constitution, the president exercises executive power in two ways, collectively with the cabinet and independently. The decision to appoint or disappoint or to remove or reshuffle ministers and deputy ministers is the sole prerogative of the president, she said. He, referring to Ramaphosa, exercises that without consulting anyone. Asked whether a reshuffle was imminent, Ntshavheni refused to say a word. I cannot answer the question of who is being reshuffled, who is being appointed, who is being removed. I have no such power. I have no such authority. I am just taking it, she said. If cabinet appointments are for Christmas, I am precluded from talking about Christmas. I will not even know whether in the takers within the coup, whether I will be part of the taker that is chosen to be eaten on that Christmas. So it is a very difficult question for me to respond to. Meanwhile, the DA, which has been at loggerheads with the African National Congress, leading the government of national unity, holds 12 posts in the cabinet. The Blue Party has 6 cabinet ministers as well as 6 deputy ministers. It remains unclear who will replace Whitfield should President Cyril Ramaphosa officially remove him from the executive. Meanwhile, DA Federal Council Chairperson Helen Zille has announced she had convened an urgent meeting of the DA's federal executive on Thursday following cabinet reshuffle. I have convened an urgent meeting of the DA's federal executive today following the actions of President Cyril Ramaphosa around the composition of the national executive of the GNU, Zille said. Zille confirmed that the DA's federal executive will meet on Thursday afternoon and the Blue Party will give further comment thereafter. With that being said, the link to this article will be in the description box below. Now, guys, let us get into what we got from the article. Now, this sudden dismissal raises constitutional and political concerns. On the 26th of June this year, President Ramaphosa exercised his authority under Section 93.1 of the Constitution to relieve Andrew Whitfield, the Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, representing the Democratic Alliance, from his duties. This decision was made without prior warning or inquiry, concluding with a formal acknowledgement of his service. There are indications that Whitfield's recent travel to Washington, D.C., where he led a DA delegation in defiance of prior advisories, may have influenced this decision. Nonetheless, the presidency has also clarified that this action is not indicative of a wider cabinet shakeup, emphasizing that it is a singular personal matter. The coalition finds itself at a significant crossroads, and the situation is being carefully examined by all involved in this GNU facade. With that being said, let us get into the next one. DA leader and Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen has strongly rebuked President Cyril Ramaphosa, accusing him of double standards for axing Deputy Minister Andrew Whitfield, while ANC ministers lying to Parliament and accused of state capture remained untouchable. Speaking during a debate on the vote on the National Division of Revenue Bill in the National Assembly, a visibly irate Steenhuisen suggested to MPs that Whitfield had been removed from his job as Deputy Trade and Industry Minister for raising awkward questions about the appointment of dodgy candidates to the Board of Industrial Development Corporation and the debacle over the awarding of lotto licenses to a politically connected consortium. The presidency stunned on Thursday morning when it announced that Ramaphosa had invoked Section 93 of the Constitution to remove Whitfield from his position. Ramaphosa did not disclose his reasons for axing Whitfield, but government sources with intimate knowledge of the matter said it was related to his insubordination over his traveling to Washington at the height of stormy relations between South Africa, and the United States earlier this year as part of a DA delegation without the president's approval. But taking MPs into his confidence on the issue, Steenhuisen told Parliament that Whitfield's repeated written requests to travel were ignored and not responded to by Ramaphosa. The facts of this matter contradict this flimsy reasoning. In fact, on the 12th of February, Deputy Minister Whitfield had written to the President requesting permission to travel, Steenhuisen said. 10 days later, he had not received a reply or any response whatsoever about the trip. Whitfield subsequently wrote to apologize if he had caused offense. Again, he received no response. Then yesterday, months after the incident, and without a further word on it, the president unilaterally removed a DA deputy minister without even giving his largest coalition partner the courtesy of discussing the issue. Steenhuisen went on to describe the dismissal of Whitfield as the calculated political assault on the second largest party in the GNU and a product of flagrant double standards. The leader of the Blue Party argued it was hypocritical for Ramaphosa to fire Whitfield, while state capture accused ministers such as David Mahlobo, VBS corrupt accused Thembi Simelane, and Nobuhle Nkabane accused of lying to Parliament over theatre boards remained in their jobs. The people of South Africa are expected to accept that the likes of Simelane, Nkabane, and Mahlobo are protected while Andrew Whitfield is removed. But perhaps there is something even deeper at play here. Like all DA ministers and deputy ministers, Andrew Whitfield was succeeding at his job. He had opposed an attempt to make suspect appointment. He was standing in the way of the looting that will follow from the Transformation Fund, and all of this in a department mired in corruption allegations involving the tender for the National Lottery. Given this flagrant double standard, one is left with no choice but to conclude that hard-working DA members of the executive are now being fired for fighting corruption, not for committing corruption. Steenhuisen said the DA was giving Ramaphosa the next 48 hours to fire Simelane, Mahlobo, Nkabane, and other ANC members implicated in corruption and other forms of wrongdoing. If they fail to do so, the ANC will inflict grave consequences on South Africa. Make no mistake, what happens next is entirely on the ANC and President Ramaphosa. They did not have to do this. They triggered all of the events that follow should the ANC fail to meet our ultimatum. All bets are off and the consequences will be theirs to bear. Guys, the link to this article will be in the description box below. Now let us get into what we got from this article. The Government of National Unity, which was recently celebrated and plastered all over as this exciting new chapter for South African politics and governance, is starting to show some cracks, and the ink on its founding agreements has barely dried. At the center of the latest drama is obviously, this brawl between, the DA leader and, Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, and his sharp remarks towards the president, which have actually uncovered a troubling truth, being that the GNU may talk about unity, but the rules seem to apply differently to everyone involved. In a very strong public statement, Steenhuisen made sure to criticize Cupcake for showing double standards after letting go of Andrew Whitfield, stating that it was because, he obviously defied the presidents and now Whitfield was out the door before he even had, a chance to settle in. No investigations, no discussions, just a swift departure. Meanwhile, Steenhuisen made sure to point out that there were several ANC ministers who remain in their jobs despite serious allegations leveled against them. Some are also under fire for misleading Parliament. But my thing is, if Whitfield wasn't fired, was he still going to be singing the song? Now, with all of this that's happening, it makes one question who sits at the deciding table. In practice, the GNU has started to appear less like a unity pact and more like a project focused on preserving power, particularly for Kongi, which secured a diminished mandate yet continues to act as if it solely holds the reins of the Republic. The removal of, Andrew Whitfield serves as a telling example of this deeper structural issue. His dismissal wasn't about his abilities or any scandal, but it was about dissent, political dissent, and policy dissent. Such dissent is not only expected, but it is vital for a healthy coalition. Instead, it was treated as insubordination. Now, if this sets the standard, then the GNU is not truly a coalition, it's an assimilation. It's also crucial to consider who defines the terms of unity. Is it about collective decision making, or does it simply serve to consolidate control? I mean, there's a troubling irony at play. The very parties once accused of corruption and mismanagement are now laying down the rules for unity while monitoring the behavior of their new political allies. While the DA has joined the GNU, this incident does also indicate that their seat at the table comes with strings attached, conditional on obedience and silence. That being said, I honestly have little sympathy because they were fully aware of the arrangement they were walking into when they formed the GNU and hailed it as, the solution to our national woes as a country. What about the other parties, namely Patriotic Alliance, the IFP, and Good? Are they genuinely co-governing, or are they also just, merely props in a grand performance of inclusion? Now, as the public trust continues to wane, the optics of the situation are striking. It seems that the GNU is not a new system, but merely a fresh face on an old system that devours its challenges, and they only seem to defend their coalition partners when they are under fire, which raises further questions. The DA is not a victim in this larger context. It's a party wrestling with its own internal contradictions, striving to be the official opposition while sometimes acting like it already governs. Its struggle to forge meaningful connections with the country's black majority has obviously limited its expansion beyond certain areas, even as it markets itself as the party of good governance. One has to wonder if the DA truly understands the implications of what it signed up for. Entering a unity government with the ANC means accepting that the terms are likely flexible and that flexibility typically favors those who know how to play the game. Whitfield's dismissal wasn't just a breach of the GNU agreement. It was a message to the DA about who truly holds the power in this arrangement. Now, before we end this, let's get into what is at stake for South Africans at large. Now, guys, we were promised that the Government of National Unity, known as the GNU, would bring stability. We were reassured that it would prevent policy chaos and keep populism in check. We were led to believe it would prioritize the national interest. Yet, that reality seems far from true. What unfolds next will be crucial in determining whether GNUVille can thrive or will crumble. Will the Democratic Alliance maintain its stance and risk further expulsions, or even withdraw from the GNU? Or is this all a facade? One thing is evident: this is not the unity, we were promised. This is not the unity we expected. Instead, it's a fragile truce among unequal partners, perpetually at risk of breaking apart. Now, if we're not cautious, we might wake up in a few months to realize that the only thing new about this GNU New Dawn is how it casts shadows over the same old issues. Trouble is brewing in GNUville, and it's time we start paying attention. Yo, guys, this coalition is rife with contradictions. That is no secret. If the GNU administration continues to evade accountability while punishing transparency, it risks not only losing credibility but also unraveling completely. True unity is not merely about performance, it hinges on principles. What are your thoughts? Is the GNU already faltering? Do you support Steenhuisen's decision to challenge the president? And how does all this shape our democracy moving forward?
That marks the end of today's video. Thank you so much for lending your eyes and ears. I hope that you found today's video informative. Please do not forget to click on that subscription button or light the notification bell so that you do not miss out on any new uploads. Nkosi.